All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, YouTube station? Mayo Neat Media. Today on this Friday, we got your boy Ham. We got Hebrew back in the house. Going to run it back from our show yesterday. We appreciate everyone that tuned in. We got those 100 likes. We got Rio's call of the day, which was none other than Cade Cunningham, put up a 50-burger on the DK Street. So thank you for doing that. If you are new today, please hit that like. Please hit that subscribe over here on Mayo. Helps them out a lot. Then head on over to our station as well. We're close to 6,000. I know when we get to 6K, Hoop, Tambo, the rest of the team, they're going to be doing some giveaways over there. So make sure you're liking and subscribing at both sites. But I'll go ahead and bring the man in himself. Rio, great calls last night. I listened to our show after the fact, and, man, you were all over it. So kudos to you. Kudos to that Cade Cunningham call today. What's going on, man? How you feeling?
Yeah, appreciate that. Feeling good. Last night was Big night over here. We had somebody ship the $4.20 max for $7,500. Don't have the name pulled up, but I saw him post it earlier this morning. But yeah, shout out to whoever it was that shipped that. He had a really good lineup.
Himasi.
Yeah, that's right, Himasi. Yeah, really good lineup though. Had the pivot off of or the pivot onto Taylor Hendricks. Got some Kyle Kuzma in there. He obviously went off. Hendricks had a great game at low ownership last night, but yeah, a good night for me. Had a little sweat going on towards the end of the night, maybe a little premature, but I still had a top 100 finish, still a profitable night over here. But yeah, I mean, looking forward to talking about this 6-game slate. I kind of like how it's laid out to 4:30 or 7:30 p.m. start time if you're East Coaster, and then last game locks at 30 minutes after that, so you don't have to sit around all night wait for news. If you want to go spend some time with the family, spend some time with the kids, with the lady, tonight would be a good night to do that. There's a nice 4-game night slate tonight, though, at 10 p.m. Eastern. I'll probably be playing that. I have some content up for the showdown stuff as well as usual. But yeah, looking forward to talking about this slate, see if I can build off of the low-owned Cade call last night.
Yeah, and just for those first time tuning in, we're going to focus on the 6-game DK main slate. As Rio said, there will be a 4-game slate. We won't have any content up for that per se. We still have projections. Rio does a showdown piece every Monday through Friday. Who's the showdown game tonight in that late night tip? Those 4 games.
I believe it's the Lakers and San Antonio. It's a 10:30 Eastern game. Should be a fun one.
Lakers, both teams on a back-to-back. We do think LeBron's coming back in tonight. And I do also want to mention there is a good, if you're into FanDuel. The one bad thing about FanDuel, we're going to focus on DK on the show, but it's a 10-game slate, the main slate, but they got a 444 with $100K up top, on top of the fact that the winner gets a seat into their live final. I've never seen that before, where you win $100K and another $10K to get into the live final. So pretty cool over there. If you want to pull an all-nighter, there are 10 games. Real quick, we just announced. Partnered with Degenerate 75 and him and all those mother fathers over there. So if you're not a member of SHIPIT Nation today, make sure you head on over there to SHIPIT Nation, enter the word DGen15, get you 15% off of all of your membership plans. We cover all the sports for one low price. I think the annual price, if you hit DGen15, is going to be $515, which a lot of those sites out there are charging that for one sport. You get our Discord, no toxicity in that. You got Hebrew, who lives in that thing when I'm about 9 o'clock when I go to bed. Hebrew's just getting started, so he's in there all night. So make sure you get on over there to shipitnation.com. Any questions that we see or any that I was looking at something else, but we see my boy Jordan Newen's in here. What's going on, Jordan? Richie Smalls, as always. Parabe, who's always in our Discord. Jasmine Chang. Oh, hey, Jasmine. I know Jasmine Chang. Not stop. Who's that not stopping my symmetry? Whoever you are. Nate D. What's going on, man? Cody Berry. Let's get right into it. 6 games. Rio. The first one. I'm gonna see a lot of these Hawks in lineups, I believe, tonight. We got Toronto taking on these Atlanta Hawks in the ATL. 6:30 tip Central Time. Talk to me about this game. What are you thinking? Who you got?
Yeah, so this is going to be probably the premier game of the night from a DFS perspective. One of the highest totals on the slate, I believe. Pretty close spread. Hawks favored by 7.5. But yeah, two teams that are really struggling defensively. Hawks have been, one of the worst teams defensively all season long. They've been producing some great DFS game environments. Definitely going to have exposure to both sides of this game. But matchup-wise, yeah, the Hawks, one of the worst overall defenses this season. Bottom 2 defensive rated team up to this point in the season. Bottom 4 in 3-point and catch-and-shoot defense. Bottom 2 rim defense. Bottom 3 transition. Bottom 4 pick and roll. They just get killed all over the court. So really, everybody on the Hawks are in a good spot. I mentioned yesterday the Raptors. I mentioned yesterday how the Raptors have really been struggling post OG Anunoby, post Pascal Siakam trade. They're bottom 4 defensive rated team since the beginning of 2024. Bottom 4 rim, bottom 5 3-point defense. So yeah, you can look to both sides of this game. I'll start with the Toronto side though. Scotty Barnes is going to be the highest upside guy on the Toronto side of things, and he looks really good tonight. 8.8K. Should be a fast-paced game environment. He's been taking on some more ball handling as of late. Touch time is up to around 5 minutes over the last 5 games or so. And then he's flashed some triple-double upside. 3 games ago, had a triple-double, put up a 60 spot. I like the upside for him a lot. Sub 9K on a slate where there's not a ton of really good spend-up options. The highest price guy is Shai Gilgeous tonight at almost 11K, and that's going to be a little bit tougher for him to pay off. So I like Scotty Barnes as a spend-up. I think RJ Barrett is okay. He's a top transition scorer for this Raptors team. Pretty efficient off-ball shooter as well, so he's got a pretty good matchup. But I do think I prefer Emmanuel Quickley to RJ Barrett. 100 or same price actually, but different position. I just like the matchup for Quickley a lot here tonight. Going to see a lot of Trae Young. Should have pretty solid assist upside with the Hawks giving up a ton of points to pick and roll men, so he can get that 2-man pick and roll game going with Jakob Poeltl. And then he's got pretty good upside with the transition scoring and the catch and shoot stuff. So I like him. And then Jakob Poeltl, one of the last guys I'll mention for the Raptors. I like attacking this Hawks team with opposing centers. He's a pretty solid pick and roll guy. Hawks are allowing the 3rd most points off of offensive rebounds as well. So I think that he's got some pretty big upside. And then the last guy I'll mention on the Raptors is Gary Trent Jr. I like going to him. I like looking at him in matchups where teams struggle versus catch and shoot guys. He's a really good off-ball catch and shoot guy. I think he's got pretty big scoring upside in this matchup, 4.3K, playing around 30 minutes a night. So I like him as a value. And then to touch on the Atlanta stuff really quickly, I think Trae Young is probably my top spend up tonight. Just love the spot for Trae, where the Raptors have no on-ball defense, like I mentioned, no OG Anunoby. They'll probably throw a little bit of Bruce Brown on him, maybe try to throw a little bit of Emmanuel Quickley on him, but I think he's got a really, really good matchup here tonight. So I like Trae at 9.4K. I think DeJounte Murray is probably going to get a lot more ownership. I'm seeing Trae around 5-6% and DeJounte 30+%. So that seems like a pretty good leverage spot to try to get up to Trae Young here. He definitely has higher upside than DeJounte. But DeJounte, it's going to – the 2K would probably go a long way tonight, 7.5 versus 9.4K. So I do think that he'll garner a lot more ownership for that reason. But I'm going to side with Trae there. Like Jalen Johnson in these sped up, high-paced type matchups. He seems to have a really good floor-ceiling combo here as well, with Clint Capella returning, going to be on a minutes limit. So I think they'll give Jalen Johnson more run as the small ball center, which they did last game. He produced 12 rebounds in that last game, playing as a small ball center. But I always like Jalen Johnson in these fast-paced game environments. Raptors struggling with their rim defense and 3-point defense, so he kind of has a lot of different avenues to get there tonight. And then a guy that I'm seeing with really low ownership that I think that projection systems are going to be really slow to update. DeAndre Hunter, really like him tonight. I think that he tops 30 minutes. Having the week off, he was kind of getting ramped up towards the All-Star break, played 28 minutes in back-to-back games, put up 37.5, 29.25 DK points in those 2 games. But yeah, this is just a great matchup for all these Hawks, but I think that people are going to be really slow to react to DeAndre Hunter. And this is a guy that's, normally I would say like a 6K player, getting him at 4,900, really low ownership. I wouldn't even be surprised to see him start. I kind of hope he doesn't start because I think they'll keep his ownership down. But I think that he's a great value option tonight. And I'll definitely be bumping him up in my my MME runs for sure.
Yeah, I think last game he didn't start and still saw 28 minutes. This is going to be a great game, like you said, up and down. It's almost 7 points total. It's higher than any other game on the board, higher than like 30 points in 2 games, I believe, out of the 6, which isn't a lot. I'm with you on the Raptors. Really like quickly, really like Pirtle. I read your article over there at SHIPITNation.com, the slate plan, talking about the pick and roll defense. You alluded to that, so I think Pirtle's a great play. And then Jalen Johnson, man, I don't know if you looked at his projection on the solver, but it's way up there. He's projected very highly for us. I don't know how he is in the industry, but yeah, love me some Johnson. And I know that's your boy. I feel like I call everyone your boy because you're so high on him. But he's a great play tonight. Mitchell in the chat asking, where would you put Barnes, point guard or small forward, or is it kind of roster dependent?
I would probably end up getting more of him at small forward tonight. Small forward seems like a pretty weak position. And I like a lot of these point guards tonight. So I would probably have more of him at the small forward spot, but that's a good question.
How many Hawks and Raptors is too many in, let's say, a GPP type build? Could you get 3 Hawks and think that's going to be on the winner?
Yeah, I could definitely see that tonight. I could see lineup starting with, Trey, Jalen Johnson, and then finishing it out with DeAndre Hunter. I think that all those guys have enough upside at their respective price tags to be on the winner tonight for sure. I mean, this is the best game environment in the whole slate. Definitely the highest total and pretty close enough spread. We could see this one being really high scoring. So I think that you could get to 3 guys tonight for sure.
And Williams asked about Fernando. No Fernando for me. I think he started the last time the Hawks played 26 minutes, but with Capella, I think he's back limited. Then you got, like you said, Hunter, Johnson. No Fernando for me. Any Fernando for you in your player pool, Rio?
No, I don't think so. He's still going to get the backup center minutes tonight with Clint Capella. I would imagine Clint doesn't see more than 24 minutes tonight. So I don't think that Bruno fills in the rest of the 24 center minutes that are left behind by Clint Capella. I could see him probably getting 18, and then you see DeAndre Hunter or Jalen Johnson get the rest of those. But yeah, I think that he's probably out of play for me tonight at 4.4K.
Yep, sounds like a plan. Moving on to the next game, we're headed to the city of brotherly love. Both teams on the second night of a back-to-back. We have the Cavs taking on the Sixers. They are 5-point favorites, 229.5 point total. I know we were all over Evan Mobley last night, who had a great game. You core Darius Garland, still too cheap. Donovan Mitchell still listed as questionable. Talk to me a little bit about this game. Where are you going? Let's talk both sides. Who you got? Who's out?
Yeah, so I mentioned it yesterday. The Cavaliers not really a team I'm looking to attack in DFS. Didn't really see anybody on the Magic put up a GPP worthy score. I think we see something similar tonight on the Sixers side of things, so you can start to kind of make a case for just crossing these guys off. I mean, I guess if you want to keep in like a Paul Reed or Tyrese Maxey, finally showed a little bit of upside last night, but none of these guys are probably going to make my initial player pool. Maybe just those 2 that I mentioned, maybe even Buddy Hield, but Sixers going to be getting a little bit more healthier. They're getting another mid to low usage guy back with D'Anthony Melton, which should definitely help improve their defense, which has been really struggling badly as of late. But he's going to be on a pretty strict minutes limit, I would assume, returning from a back injury that held him out for a while. I think that he's going to require a pretty lengthy ramp-up period, so I would not expect heavy minutes from him. But Sixers would probably be a cross-off for me. And then the Cavaliers stuff, I mean, I have interest in Evan Mobley and Darius Garland again here at their price tags. We saw Garland played 37 minutes. Mobley played 34 minutes. These guys aren't going to be on a minutes limit anymore. So I think even if we don't have Donovan Mitchell ruled out tonight, I think that they're totally fine to keep in your player pool, and they would get much better if Donovan Mitchell were to be ruled out. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same story as last night. I think that these guys are fine. I think Jared Allen's fine. I think that if Mitchell's out, you could probably look to Isaac Okoro and Max Strus again, but I mean, Okoro will be okay. He's been playing pretty well, 3.5K. But yeah, kind of I think this one's pretty straightforward. You're looking at Mobley and Garland tonight, and then those guys get much better if Donovan Mitchell's ruled out. Yeah,
I'm with you. If Mitchell's out, I kind of like Jared Allen tonight. I I'll have some interest in him just based on obviously no Embiid. I think he could eat Paul Reed's lunch and whoever else they want to throw in there. I don't even know if Mo Bamba will get minutes or whoever the backup center is for the Sixers, but give me some Jared Allen should he miss. Chris, just want to address this. These shows, generally speaking, are geared towards DraftKings. That's where the majority of the people are, but we certainly appreciate you tuning in. And hey, if you're a member over at SHIPITNation.com, we still have everything over there for you as it relates to FanDuel, full projections. Rio still does a write-up on any player that would be in the games tonight. So yeah, check us out, SHIPITNation.com. We'll have full projections. We just won't touch on them on these shows, but certainly appreciate you tuning in today. If you are new or if you hadn't hit that like or subscribe button, make sure you're doing that. We really appreciate it. Helps us out a ton over here. Takes about 2 seconds. Hit that like button. Moving on to the next game. We have another team playing on a back-to-back. Lost in OKC last night. Headed into Memphis. That's right. Los Angeles Clippers taking on the Memphis Grizzlies. In Rio, I'm old enough to remember this used to be a huge rivalry back in the grit and grind days. Used to go to a lot of these games, but got the Clippers taking on the depleted Memphis Grizzlies, who actually have been playing pretty good of late. Talk to me about this game. 223-point total. Clippers are 9-point favorites. It's a Luke Kennard revenge game, if you will, tonight as well, taking on his former mates. And you're on mute, pal.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I was just agreeing with you. The Grizzlies, they've been playing pretty well lately, mainly just because their defense has really held up. They were a team that was giving up a ton of three-pointers early in the year, but they've been kind of improving that area. They're a little bit more of a rim funnel as of late, but yeah, their defense has been really good. They're a top 7 ranked defense, or defensive rated team since the start of 2024, allowing the 4th least three-pointers per game and the 9th most points at the rim over that span. But their offense has just been non-existent. I mean, this team really struggles to score points. They're dead last in offensive rating this season. Definitely missing guys like Desmond Bane, Marcus Smart, John Morant this year. But yeah, this game, not a ton of interest in it. I don't know. I mean, you can get to Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, James Harden. All these guys are playing really well right now. Paul George no longer on a minutes limit. Pretty good price tag, 8.1K for him. Kawhi been playing great. So you can make a case for these guys. I think Kawhi is probably going to get a lot of Jaren Jackson Jr. on defense, which, it's slightly neutral to below neutral matchup for him. But yeah, I think the guy that I'm most interested in on the Clipper side of thing is going to be Ivica Zubac. He was, has a minutes limit lifted last game. This is a pretty good matchup for him. A little bit better of a matchup for opposing centers than it is versus OKC. They're really good rim defense. They struggle with their offensive rebounding, but this is a much better matchup from a scoring perspective for Ivica Zubac. So I think I have the most interest in him, and I'm not really looking to many of these other Clippers other than Kawhi and PG, just a little bit of interest in them. And then I think the only guys that would make my player pool on the Memphis side of things is Jaren Jackson Jr. and Vince Williams, but not super excited about either one in particular. Clippers have been pretty much about slightly above average in every defensive metric this season. So yeah, not a lot of interest in this game.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. The thing with the big three, if you will, for the Clippers, it's just so tough to predict who's going to go off for 50. I mean, they're not cheap. They're all in the 8Ks. Zubac, I like a little bit. Talk to me a little bit about Zubac versus Jakob Poeltl. Slightly different price, $800 difference. Who do you like better between those two if you're choosing those two centers, Zubac or Poeltl?
I think I would go with Zubac just for the slightly the salary savings on him. I think that their upsides are maybe a little bit pretty similar. I think obviously Poeltl probably has a little bit more in a slightly better matchup, but yeah, I think I'll lean with Zubac.
Good deal. Yeah, for me on this game's going to be a pass for me. I mean, Jaren Jackson Jr. is listed as questionable, but I do believe he's going to play. And then nobody else on the Grizzlies, no Clippers. Like I said, there's just too many mouths to feed, and you just never know. You got to hit the right one for me. So that's a pass. Moving on to the next game, we have Washington taking on OKC in the second highest total of the night. It is a 16-point spread, 242-point total. You got SGA MVP candidate Chet Holmgren, who's in a great matchup. My boy from last night, Jalen Williams, who I love again. Talk to me a little bit about this game. Can we play any Wizards? Can we play any coming off the bench, Jordan Poole? Talk to me a little bit about this game. Who you got?
Yeah, good, really good spot for these OKC guys. Wizards, mentioned it last night. They're going to be the same defense that they were all season long, just a terrible rim defense. Pretty decent job at limiting three-pointers, limiting off-ball shooters, but yeah, worst rim defense all season long. So I think that Shea in a great spot. Obviously, a great match for him. Wizards are bottom 4 in DVP, I believe, versus point guards. 11K price tag, a little bit tougher to pay off, but I don't think you need to worry about it too much with this slate being small. They're not being, you don't have Jokic, you don't have Giannis, you don't have Luka. So Shea probably ends up as, one of the highest raw point scorers tonight, which you would probably need. The only downside to him is that this game could get out of hand pretty quickly with it being a back-to-back for Washington. Not sure if they're going to be resting guys or anything like that, but yeah, I could see this game getting out of hand pretty quickly. Maybe even by halftime, they could be up by 20 plus or something like that. But yeah, Chet in a good spot as well. This is the best matchup for opposing centers. The Wizards dead last in DVP by a pretty wide margin versus the center position. Chet's been playing really well lately. Been a really good shot blocker as well. I think that if the Wizards are able to keep this game slightly within reach, Chet would be pretty good, but he might be one of the first guys to lose minutes in a blowout. But I do love the spot for him. Same thing with Jalen Williams, your boy. He's been playing really well, very consistent fantasy scorer as of late, 40 plus DK points in 4 of the last 5 games. Gets a second best matchup versus power forwards in terms of DVP. Should have no issues getting to the rim. I think he's the Thunder's second best rim scorer down low. So he gets a great spot. And then I don't think I'm really going to look to get to any of these other OKC guys unless we see some sort of funky, different starting lineup, because they did start started Isaiah Joe in the second half last game over Josh Giddey. Not sure if they're going to do that again. This game doesn't mean as much as it does versus one against the Clippers. So I would imagine they go with the same starting 5, but just keep an eye out for something like that. I think Isaiah Joe would be a pretty solid value if he does get the start. And then on the Washington side of things, yeah, it's tough to get up to like Kuzma and Denny. I guess Tyus too, you can throw in there as, with this game likely to blow out, those guys are going to lose minutes for sure. Kuzma would lose minutes. I think Denny probably a little bit safer from a minutes perspective if this game were to blow out. Tyus is kind of okay because the price tag is low enough and he's been playing really well. His assist numbers have looked really good since they shifted Jordan Poole to a smaller role. So he's fine. I think that the guys you'd be looking to on the Wizard side of things are the guys that produce some catch and shoot points, some of the offensive rebounders. So like Marvin Bagley could have a slightly efficient game, but he did lose minutes just randomly last night. He started off really hot, and then I think he only played like 17 minutes. So it's kind of tough to buy into that when you don't really know what the role is for him. But yeah, I think that Denny is okay. I think Tyus is okay, but one guy that I do kind of like as like a lower owned value option, low-ish in terms of the slate. I'm seeing around like 12 to 15% on him. But Corey Kispert, 4.3K. He's a really good catch and shoot guy. Had a really big game in a very similar matchup 2 games ago versus New Orleans Pelicans. Pelicans have been struggling against 3-point shooters as of late. He went for 37.5 DK points, 20 real points, shot 5 of 10 from 3. But he's been pretty consistent as of late. Has even a 45 game mix in there, 36 against Cleveland, 45 against Boston. Really tough defense. So I think that Corey Kispert is a pretty solid value option, 4.3K, and a pivot off of his own teammate Bilal Coulibaly, who's coming in around 40%, and he just hasn't. Even the minutes that he's getting, he's seeing around 30 minutes a night and just not producing outside
Cardio
of the
King, as Title would say. He's doing some cardio out there.
Exactly. He did have a good game against Boston. Same game Corey Kispert did have a good game as well. But yeah, I like Kispert over Coulibaly tonight.
Yes, similar price, and I'm with you as well in that. One guy we didn't talk about, Gordon Hayward, who who's going to get some more minutes too. He only played 14 minutes in his debut last night for the Thunder, but this should be a blowout. Yeah, Jalen Williams. He was my play of the day, and he was doing terrible. Then you look up, and he still got 40 DK points. So he's going to play 35 minutes, assuming it's a close game. But there's just so many guys. I feel like they're all 25 and younger. Gordon's probably the old head on that team, as being him. But They're a fun team to watch. I'm with you. Marvin Bagley would be my favorite Washington piece tonight. I don't mind him at 5,500. I'm with you. Like, why did he only get 17 minutes? But give me some Bagley, and then you talked me into some Kispert too for a cheap 4,300. Can knock down some threes. And then SGA, you mentioned it as well. Not a lot of spend ups tonight. SGA in a great spot. Can the Wizards keep it close? And Eddie was right on the money with this. Denver was up, I feel like 20 the whole game. Bless you. Was up 20 the whole game yesterday, and they kept their starters in for the most part. Jokic was remarkable per usual. But appreciate you throwing that in there, Eddie. Got about 2 games left. Got about 115 watching. If you haven't yet done so, make sure you're hitting that like, hitting that subscribe button. We're going to give you these plays of the day on this Friday, get you to the weekend, get you a shipper. You can be like Hennessy, a SHIPIT Nation member who shipped the 20 max $4 yesterday for 7,500. Great job to Hennessy. Played a lot of the plays that Hebrewcheetah was on himself. We got 2 games left, Hebrew. We're going down to New Orleans, where Miami, first game back, taking on these Pelicans. Point Williamson, who was in the news this morning, Rio. You were probably sleeping, but he was in the news this morning because your boy, Stephen A. Myth, was talking trash about Zion, telling him he need to stay off those hamburgers. Does that give him some extra motivation tonight? The Pelicans 3-point favorites coming off that big game last night. Talk to me about this game. Tyler Hero is questionable. Who you got in this one?
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna have to play first of all to get his revenge. He does come into the game questionable with the foot injury. It's been like a LeBron James, Anthony Davis type of questionable tag where he's been playing through it. But with this one being a back-to-back, there is a chance that he sits. Hopefully we'll get that news soon. Hopefully we get it before the slate starts because that would really shake things up. I mean, the Ingram news is going to shake things up as well. We did see Herb Jones and Trey Murphy put up pretty big scores at their respective price tags. So this team would be a pretty solid source of value in many ways. But yeah, I did see what Stephen A. Smith said. It's kind of funny. I mean, I don't disagree with him, but he's playing really well right now. So maybe it's giving him some more energy, some more strength, eating all those burgers and things like that. But yeah, from a matchup standpoint, this Heat team, they've been really, really solid defensively in the new year. I think they're the top defensive rated team in the last couple months, last couple weeks, something like that. But yeah, they've kind of shifted their focus to being a team that takes away the rim scoring. They've been really just hunkering down low. Obviously, Bam Adebayo, an elite rim protector. This team plays really good team defense. They play a lot of zone, so that kind of funnels teams to play to kind of shoot more 3-pointers against them. They've been allowing a little bit more 3-pointers. They're 10th most points off catch and shoot, 10th most. I don't have the 3-point numbers, but they're slightly funneling a lot of their defense to 3-point shooters. So I think that guys like, I don't know if we could call Trey Murphy a 3-point shooter right now because he's just shooting so bad, but the matchup would be good for him. Matchup would be really good for CJ McCollum. I think Herb Jones would be pretty solid as well. And then if Ingram and Zion are out, then a guy like Jordan Hawkins at 3K could be a guy that performs pretty well in the minutes that he's given. Najee Marshall would be coming to play. But if those two guys are out, I think you're looking at the guys up top mainly. CJ McCollum would be really good. He has a really good numbers with those two off the court this season. 35% usage rate, averages almost 60 DK points per 36 minutes, 36% assist percentage, which is pretty massive. So his role would be pretty elite, regardless of how tough the matchup would be. And then Jonas Valanciunas would be much safer from a minute standpoint. Would have much more rebounding upside. Don't love the matchup for him, but his price tag is really good, 6.3K. If those two guys were to be out, he has really good numbers as well with Zion off the court, 54.4 DK points per 36 minutes, around 20% rebounding usage. So pretty good role for him. And then, yeah, like I mentioned, Herb and Trey Murphy would be the two value guys I'd be looking to. Herb is about 35 DK points per 36, and Trey Murphy 46 DK points per 36. Really small sample size, but his usage is still pretty low. And then on the Heat side of things, we're waiting on Tyler Hero news. He's questionable. Don't really have much to add on to that. I don't really know what his status is. But if he were to miss, then I do like Duncan Robinson at 4.9K. This Pelicans team has been giving up a ton of 3-pointers as of late. Duncan, really good really good three-point shooter. Been adding a little bit more peripherals to his stat line as well. The rebounding and assist numbers have been up. I think Kevin Love would make sense as a value option at 3.8K and as a three-point shooter, off-ball catch-and-shoot type guy. And then Bam and Jimmy up top would have really big roles. I like Jimmy as it is right now. 7.7K, really good price tag for him. He's going to step right back into a big role after missing a couple of games due to personal reasons. Should not be limited at all. He said he's ready to play. So I think that he is a really solid mid-tier option at 7.7K. And I think that Bam would be a lot better if Hero were out.
Gotcha. You, man, I can't believe you said Kevin Love. I said never again to Kevin Love about 2 months ago. Then I looked, he put up 39 like 2 games ago. Well, man, he's a tough click because you just never know if he's going to play 8 minutes or 28 minutes. So, yeah, really waiting on that Hero news. I'm with you, Duncan Robinson, especially if he's starting, can put it up, can shoot it with the best of them, especially if he gets 30-plus minutes. And obviously the big news with Ingram missing last night, questionable again tonight, and then Zion, want him in. Zion been playing a lot more at the point as well, so you're getting a lot of assists. I think he was did he almost have a double-double or triple-double last night? And I think they took away one of his assists to bring him off that stat line. But anyway, he's playing lights out basketball right now for those Pelicans. Last game of the night, we have the Phoenix Suns, 3.5-point favorites, heading into Houston, facing these Rockets, 233-point total, 33.5-point total. We have Bradley Beal is listed. He's either out or doubtful, and Nurkic is out or doubtful as well. I don't know if you have an update on that, but let's assume those two guys are going to miss. We know Beal missed last night. Obviously got KD, got Booker, got some of these other value Suns. Talk to me a little bit about this game. Where are you going?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention before we dive into this, I wanted to pull up Jordan's comment real quick because we did have some things going on in Discord. DJen going through some health issues right now. So if you are in our Discord, even if you follow him on Twitter, maybe send him some positive energy his way. I know he's been working his ass off and definitely want him to get healthy so he can come back 100% and give you guys the content. I know that he's kicking himself for not being able to work right now for you guys, but yeah, definitely wishing DJen giving him all the energy that he needs right now for sure. But yeah, this game, last one of the night, Phoenix versus Houston, should get some value on the Sun side of things. Like you mentioned, Bradley Beal, Yusuf Nurkic, both expected to miss tonight. Both were listed doubtful. So yeah, we could definitely assume that they will be out. We should see Eric Gordon, Drew Eubanks start in their place. Have been seeing Eric Gordon start, been playing pretty decently. I'll start with Eubanks just because I think that he's probably going to get a good amount of ownership. I don't disagree that he's a good value play tonight, but I do think that the downside for him is pretty low. He's had 3 starts this year. I don't have the numbers pulled up, but he's averaging around 13.3 DK points in his 3 starts this season. The minutes have been pretty low. I think he had like 15 or something like that in the first game he started. Had a pretty good game last time out, got 20 plus DK points in his last start. Just wanted to mention the downside because I do think that there is a path for him to lose minutes. I think that Royce O'Neal could steal some of those minutes. He's been playing a lot of minutes regardless, but the Suns team has been a little bit more comfortable running Kevin Durant as the small ball 5. They did it against the Kings a few weeks back. Think that they could do it here. Sengun, pretty undersized center. Obviously, he's a really good scorer, really good just overall center. So Kevin Durant would definitely be undersized from like a weight standpoint. But yeah, I do think that they could probably run more Kevin Durant as a small ball 5. And I think that Royce O'Neal would get a ton of run. I like Royce O'Neal as a value option tonight regardless, but do think that there's some pretty big upside on Royce O'Neal, who's been playing around 30 minutes tonight, getting more integrated into the offense, with this being only like his 4th or 5th game with the Suns. But yeah, we'll see Kevin Durant and Devin Booker lead the way from a usage standpoint. Kevin Durant, 32% usage rate with Beal and Nurkic off the court. Booker leading the team in usage, 33%. Has a huge 38% assist percentage with Beal and Nurkic off the court this season, averaging around 50 DK points per 36 minutes. Both these guys get a pretty tough matchup, though. Kevin Durant going to be guarded by Jabari Smith Jr., who's a really lengthy, long defender. Pretty solid defender as well. Been a plus defender all season long. Devin Booker going to see Dylan Brooks, which everybody knows he's he's not very good offensively, but really good defensive player. I don't know if you would categorize him as elite, but I mean, he's a really solid on-ball defender. So I think that these guys do have tougher matchups, but the Rockets, they've been kind of struggling as of late. They were getting beaten by three-point shooters a lot, giving up a ton of three-point shooters. Their transition defense has been a little bit worse. So I think that these guys do have some upside, regardless of the matchup being tough. I think you could look to Grayson Allen and Eric Gordon as well. They'll definitely take on more of an offensive workload. Pretty good matchup for the three-point shooters. So I think one of these guys could put up a pretty solid score. I think that the minutes are much safer. Grayson Allen was losing a little bit of run two games ago, but yeah, I think that these guys are fine at their price tags. And then on the Rocket side of things, I'm really looking at Sengun and Fred VanVleet, but I'm a little bit hesitant on Fred VanVleet right now. He's just not playing good. He hasn't topped 37 DK points in like 7 straight games, just shooting the ball really, really poorly. I do like the matchup, though. I have been attacking the Suns team with opposing guards all season long. They lack on-ball defense right now. They are bottom 10 in pick and roll, in both pick and roll categories. The Suns are, so I think there is a little bit of upside for Fred VanVleet, but man, he's just playing really bad right now. Would much rather just get up to Sengun, 8.5K, pretty reasonable price tag for him. Won't have to deal with the size of Yusuf Nurkic down low. Could be an easier matchup if the Suns do run more small ball. So I like Sengun the most, and that's really all that I'm looking to on the Rocket side of things.
Could you go VanVleet and Sengun in the same lineup? Maybe bring it back with like a Booker or KD or somebody, or a Eubanks or somebody like that?
Yeah, I think you could do that. I do think that Fred VanVleet and Sengun probably positively correlate. I could actually pull this up on our correlation sheet on our website. Do a little promo while we're doing this. Yeah, I do definitely think that you could play those two guys together.
Yeah, because when I hear you talk about like bad pick and roll defenses, like you're obviously going to have the point guard, going to have the guy rolling. Maybe they both go off, and VanVleet can't be terrible all season long. He's due for a bounce back spot. Got a great matchup tonight against his Suns team, who just gave up 70 or 80 last night. I know Luke is a little different type of ball player, but not very good at guarding the point guard position. That'll do it for these 6 games. I know we didn't get to 100 likes. That's okay. It's Friday. Not as many people as were watching yesterday. Rio, I say we give them a play of the day before we get on out of here. But before I kick it over to you, just one last plug as it relates to SHIPITNation.com. If you're not a member yet, head on over to SHIPITNation.com. Enter the promo code DGen15. That'll give you 15% off your membership plan. We cover all the major sports, including MMA, NHL, NASCAR, college football we just brought over. No better time to join the nation now. Rio, I'm going to kick it to you first. Let's give the people one play today, your favorite, let's call it point per dollar play. You had Cade yesterday and knocked it out of the park with that 50 burger. Who you got today?
Yeah, the guy I'm going to be going with tonight is a value piece, because I do think that with the small slates, you do see a lot of ownership condensing around certain value plays, which is I think it's a pretty good spot to get different. Large slates, it's a little bit harder because the value becomes a lot better. But I do think on a smaller slate, when we don't have, the backup center, 3K backup center, that's just going to garner all the ownership. You're starting to look at guys in the the forward range. You see a lot of ownership on Koulibaly, a lot on Royce O'Neal, some on Corey Kispert. So guys, I'm looking at guys in that range, in that position, and the guy that I am going to be going at tonight is DeAndre Hunter, 4.9K, small forward, power forward, eligible for the Atlanta Hawks. I think that he gets back to his normal minutes workload. I'm thinking 30-plus minutes from him tonight. Really good game environment, and yeah, I really like DeAndre Hunter tonight, so he will be somebody I'm going to be heavily overweight on.
Yeah, great play. Mine's going to come from the same game, but before we do that, Brock's asking any Lamar Stevens for the Memphis Grizzlies. We did not mention him. I don't personally have any interest in Lamar Stevens. I don't think you said his name, but do you have any interest in Lamar Stevens tonight as he's popping in anyone else's projections? I don't know where he's popping, but is he popping in your projections, Rio?
No, I'm not seeing it from him. He's been getting more run with Jaren Jackson Jr. missing the last couple of games, but Jaren Jackson should be back tonight, so think that Lamar Stevens will go back to a very limited role because this Grizzlies team do have a lot of bodies right now. They've been thin all season long, but they're getting some guys back. So I don't think that we need to look to Lamar Stevens tonight.
Yeah, and then he just talked about the JJ injury. Yeah, and this Memphis team, they not playing for anything, no need, and rolling guys out there for 40 minutes, so it may get spread around. No Lamar Stevens for me. If you got any more questions, feel free to put them in the chat. But my play of the day, it's going to come from that same game. Like I said, one of the worst teams guarding the point guard. You said they're also bad in the pick and roll, which I like. But give me Emmanuel quickly for this Toronto's Raptors team. I think he's going to go way under owned tonight, $6,900 going up against Trae Young and one of the worst defenses in the NBA. I think this game shoots out 247-point total, the highest of the night by a wide margin. That'll do it for us. Any other departing words? Any other thing for the people before we get on out of here for the weekend, Rio?
No, not really. I think that we covered it all. Sorry that we couldn't cover the last 4 games for FanDuel. Makes it a little bit tougher when you have these split slates. You got, one side doing 12 games, one's doing 8, so it makes it a little bit tougher to be able to cover all that. But if you are a member, we'll definitely have projections up for that. Boomer's been killing it with his projections, so we'll definitely rely on those. But yeah, no, I think that this is a pretty solid slate, good slate to get a little contrarian in the value, some good spin-up options. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it tonight. Hopefully we can have a repeat performance of last night. Somebody ships the 100K, which is, I don't know if you saw you're not on DraftKings anymore, but they have a $4 100K up top now.
Oh, really? Every night or just tonight?
They've been mixing it in. They did it last week. They did it last week, I think, before the All-Star break. I remember they did it a few years ago. But it's like a mini max type thing. I think 600 to enter it, to max it. But there's like over 100,000 people in it, so it's pretty big lotto. I'll be in there. Hopefully, I can take it down tonight. Got close last night, but hopefully tonight's my night. Yeah,
no, awesome. And then someone's asking about Peyton. Yeah, that's my guy Peyton in the background. Peyton, Kobe, and then you can barely see him because of the glare. That's MJ. That's Mike, the greatest player in the history of the National Basketball Association. Rio. Don't question me on that.
Is this in reference to Emmanuel Quickley?
I'm assuming it is, yeah. You probably know a little bit more about his stats on the back-to-back. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but is that what do you think about that? Is he bad I'm assuming he's bad on the back end of a back-to-back?
I don't know. Title mentioned something yesterday about, these stats are kind of a little overvalued, I think. I wouldn't look at something like that for a reason to get off somebody that I like, but yeah, I don't know if that's your reasoning for getting off of him, Benny, then by all means do it. I like the matchup for Quickly enough for me to overlook something like that.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. 30% historically on back-to-backs. I don't know if that's field goal percentage or percentage owned, or I don't know what that means. But Benny, if you got it in there in the chat, let us know. It's its price, Benny. Yeah, it's his price. It's the slate. It's the team he's playing. There's several reasons why I'm into Quickly tonight. One other thing I wanted to talk about, and I was in the chat, but I don't see it. But I think that'll do it for us over here at SHIPIT Nation. We certainly appreciate it. Everybody tuning in tonight. For my man Rio, I'll be back Monday. Rio will be back Tuesday with Title. I'll be back Monday with Nades. But for Rio, I'm Ham. We'll see you at the top of the leaderboards, and let's ship it.